Brockhampton, one of the biggest rap groups that have broken out in the past few years. I mean, they're committed to calling themselves a boy band, which I get. But, you know, they rap too. I can call them that if I want. Really became one of the biggest internet sensations of 2017. If you're, you know, keeping up to date with music and music circles, I think it's pretty safe to say that they may have won 2017 in that kind of sense, even though no one wins. But, you know, going from where they were to where they ended up and where they are now, it's huge. Sure, there was clear bumps in the road for them on that journey with, you know, a significant member leaving, and then allegations after that never really went anywhere, but they've had their fair share of problems up until now. It's not really been the kind of smooth sailing journey that I think they wanted or their fans wanted up until this point. Regardless of all of that though, they are still here. They still have a growing, dedicated, cult-like fan base at this point, and even their last album produced one of their biggest hits to date, Sugar, which actually charted on the Billboard, which is a pretty huge thing for any small independent act that's on the rise, growing into the fame that they've got now. It's certainly been bumpy for me up until this point. I used to think that, you know, they had real potential, but everything after the Saturation series has just left me underwhelmed. Even their last album, which again was well received, probably slightly better well received than Iridescence, and yeah, I don't really like either of those albums. I still think the Saturation's, you know, trilogy, the series that they put out, has a lot of great hits. They really nailed the kind of like fun, bouncy energy with so many tracks across all three of those albums. Even if the first one hasn't held up for me at all, I still think 2 and 3 have a lot of fun tracks that I think even to this day I enjoy a lot. I have said numerous times that, you know, the music hasn't held up for me in the ways that I wanted it to, particularly on Saturation 1, but I'm looking forward to see where they take things. I mean, it's been like 4 years. We're at their God knows how many albums now. Is it like 6 or 7 at this point? I don't know, but they've dropped a lot of music. I'm losing count, man. And they dropped some pretty big names on this one too. You got JPEG Mafia, Danny Brown, just to name a few. A$AP Rocky, A$AP Ferg, a lot of big name features on this. You can clearly see that they're going places and getting the respect that they probably are really desperate for, and they want from other rap artists in the industry. Buzzcut with Danny Brown. Still think this track is just only decent. I don't know if it quite lives up to the hype and the energy that I've seen a lot of people say it has. I still think the beat's really good, but I'm not entirely sure if, you know, the verses are that spectacular. I think I just wanted a bit more. The beat really does sound like Black of the Berry though, from Kendrick Lamar's To Pimp a Butterfly. Not sure if anyone else has caught that, but it really reminds me of it. It quickly loses its own momentum by the end though. I think that final minute really kills off what it was doing up until that point. And up until that point, it's not like it's amazing or anything like that. So I do think it really loses it and just flattens out by then. And honestly, a lot of this album feels like it's flatlining in places. I don't know if many of these tracks are providing what I personally look for in music, not even just pop music, hip hop music, whatever you want to call it. There's just this like overly saccharine sweetness, sappiness to some of these tracks that I'm just not feeling. You've got tracks like Count on Me where the lyrics are just so, just whatever, honestly, and then the hook, which just sounds like it's trying so hard to be like a TikTok hit or a radio pop hit. I don't know if they just thought Sugar did so well that they want to do something like that, or just something that will get them that kind of success. But this just feels like phoned in. It just feels like they're trying too hard to achieve a hit. And they probably could get it with this track, but you can just feel how hard and blatant they're trying to get it. Pretty meh verses all around. You got that little whistle thing in the background too. Everything just feels so what's the word? Manufactured. It just sounds like a manufactured track to me. Not what I expected from Brockhampton. Then there's tracks like I'll Take You On, which again could be crowd pleasers for the Brockhampton fan base that want them to dive more into the boy band shtick stuff, which I could totally see why you'd love this track. It's once again very sweet, it's catchy, it definitely has a memorable chorus. I mean, it regularly got stuck in my head each time I played through this album, so it's done its job in that sense. I just don't know if it's personally for me. I mean, it's got that early 2000s boy band feel to it, which again, if you're a big fan of that, there's no reason why you couldn't like this. And it's not to say that I don't like any songs from any boy bands. I mean, come on man, Backstreet Boys had the jams. But this one just goes way too off into the sugary side for me to really enjoy it. Again, just a taste thing personally. I don't like things to be too sweet, and this just goes too far. The line, open your heart and I'll give in to you until you recognize I'm into you, which is repeated, just doesn't do it for me, man. Like, when did they start writing lyrics like this? There were not lyrics like this on their earliest stuff. This just isn't really very creative or well thought out. It's really lowest common denominator type stuff. And lyrics aren't exactly the most important thing in the world. Obviously, I understand that, but this just is way too corny for my taste. Yeah, not a fan. They do have some tracks that go a bit umphier and harder and then have the banging beats. Similarly to like Buzzcut, you've got Bankroll, A$AP Rocky, A$AP Ferg on here. Not really that big on it either. This reminds me of what Slowthai was doing on his most recent album, where the beats just kind of hit hard and the verses kind of come in with a bit of a but nothing lands. Like, I don't know if I'm just kind of jaded towards a lot of these artists that just try and just throw in a banging beat, a bit of a knocking beat, and just think that it's a banger and that's it. That's how you do a banger. I just think there needs to be a bit more grit to it. I hate to make blatantly obvious comparisons, but I just feel the power and I feel the urgency whenever I hear a banger from Injury Reserve. Now, I know maybe that's an obvious thing to say because I've always said I really love those guys, but like, there is a night and day difference between a track like Bankroll and any track from the previous albums and mixtapes from Injury Reserve. They really know how to sell a banger. Richie's got a voice that commands the room. His presence is immediate. And there aren't really any members of Brockhampton that have that. So it just falls flat. And the features from A$AP Rocky, A$AP Ferg, they're fine, I guess, but not really that spectacular in the grander scheme of things. And Merlin's voice, what the fuck are they doing to his voice? He never sounded like this before. They're just laying on these effects every now and then. They've always done this since the start as well. They just don't know how to utilize their members in the best way, because they just throw on and lather on and slather on and blah blah blah, these weird little auto-tune things and weird little isms to the vocals that just don't work. It just sounds awful here. Merlin's got a really animated and creative delivery, and they choose to do this to his vocals. Look, if you like this, tell me why in the comments this sounds good, because I just don't hear it. Some pretty limp hooks come in again on tracks like When I Ball. Lyrics here, once again, just hitting the nail on the head with these cliches. Again, don't remember there being as many cliches previously with Brockhampton, but even the way the vocals sound on this hook just doesn't work for me at all. Not really feeling it once again. Maybe at this point I'm just losing interest in what's landing on my ears to really take any care in these kinds of tracks. Don't shoot up the party. Thematically and lyrically, it just kind of feels a bit out of place compared to what they've been doing up until this point. Again, not really that catchy or memorable, just really one ear, in one ear, out the other. Surprisingly though, Chain On works for me. I know this could either go either way, where people think the beat doesn't hold a huge amount of weight to it, doesn't really have much of an oomph, and I get it, but it kind of, clicks for my ears. I don't know why. I just think somehow Peggy over this beat sounds pretty good. You know, they're not amazing verses. To be fair, Dom comes through at the end, I think, sounding great. And honestly, I think Dom has always been one of the best members. So I would just like to hear Dom let loose a little bit more on some of these tracks instead of going in these kinds of phoned in poppy directions that they take. Just whenever Dom comes in, it feels like they just use him to his strengths. Like there's never a wasted moment with Dom on any of their albums, by the way. I always feel like he just adds something so I don't know, just so different. Like he doesn't try to do anything. They don't waste his vocals and throw on shit on his voice. He's just there to rap and spit, and he sounds good over this kind of weird beat too. It's definitely one of the most interesting beats on the whole thing. It is a strange listen, but I like this one. And then towards the end, you've got some of these slower ballad type moments. I don't know, I'm not emotionally connected to the final track. I think my investment in the group isn't strong enough anymore to really feel like connected to this one. I feel like it should hit hard. There were tracks like this on Ginger too, where I was just again like disconnected from the feelings here because I'm just not really that invested. I think everything up until this point on the album, if it was stronger, this might have landed better, but it just doesn't. And the really like demo quality of Dear Lord with James Arthur, no, James Arthur, no. We'll call him Bareface James. No, I'm just taking the piss. It's obviously Bareface. I've always think he sounded like James Arthur, honestly. But yeah, this track just sounds like something you'd find on Jesus is King from Kanye. Now, they love Kanye, and they basically all came together through their love of Kanye. So maybe they were trying to do a gospel type thing, but like it's so short and out of place. It just is wasted. Like, I don't know, man, just not feeling this at all. And yeah, the entire album just is a miss for me. Not really getting much out of what Brockhampton is doing these days. But I felt like that for the past few albums, so maybe it's time to call it a day with them. I don't know. If I'm just going to keep saying that I'm not feeling a Brockhampton album on this channel every time they drop an album, am I just wasting my time at this point? I don't know, maybe I am, but let me know your thoughts in the comments, because I think this could split opinions a little bit, this album, but 5 out of 10 from me. Really middle of the road stuff. Again, let me know your thoughts. I would love to see what people think of this one. If you disagree, let me know. I'm sure there'll be people out there that really heavily disagree with me here. And yeah, thank you for watching this video. Do hope you have a good day. Do subscribe if you haven't already as well. That would be great. Goodbye.